So what I want to talk about here is the Dragon Ball fandom. And I just want to say they're weird, but I've known they've been weird for a long time. It's just one of those things where it's like I wish it was just like the kids, because the kids doing it I understand, but it's grown ass adults and it's weird. It's always weird how much like they care about silly shit. It's like, oh my god, so if Vegeta has Super Saiyan 3, when does he use it against Beerus? And it's like, the answer is because it was fucking written before Toriyama made the idea for Vegeta to go Super Saiyan 3 in this series, and he wanted to include it, and it's cool. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Everything has to be a think piece. Everything has to be a series. I mean, like a theory. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Why is Super Saiyan 4 red? It's not really connected to Super Saiyan God. Shut up. God. Anyways, I also saw all of you people telling me that Daima was like original Dragon Ball. And that was when I knew, okay, either you guys haven't watched or read original Dragon Ball in a while, or which I think is flat out the point for the most of you, you guys don't understand original Dragon Ball at all. Daima is nothing like original Dragon Ball. It's like the only thing is that it's closer to original Dragon Ball than it is Z or Super or GT. I guess. Well, it's closer to GT than anything, but even GT wasn't close to original Dragon Ball to me. Like the only reason people say that is because it's an adventure story. But let's take the first arc of original Dragon Ball, for example, because I talked about how Goma is like Demon Realm Pilaf for me, right? I think that's a good comparison. So let's talk about the first arc of Dragon Ball and what makes that work. Dragon Ball is predicated on the fact that Goku is a spick. He's a boy in the woods who grew up with only his grandfather. He knows nothing of the outside world. Bulma is an outsider, and she sees this dumb little kid, and he's super strong. So because she's manipulative and because she's a city girl, she takes advantage of him and uses him as her personal bodyguard. Along the way, they run into people like a shape-shifting, perverted, insecure pig, communist pig. Literally, that's the point of his original outfit. And a desert bandit who, despite supposedly being a badass, is not only not the strongest guy out of the cast of main characters, because Goku beats the shit out of him, but he's also kind of pussy whipped because he's afraid of girls. It's this ragtag group of characters that, honestly, the only person in it with good intentions is our main hero, Goku. Everybody else is out to double cross everybody else. They are only in an alliance because they are forced to be. I don't know if you guys realize this. Like, Bulma out in the wilderness, in order to get the Dragon Balls, has to bring Goku along. She literally can't stand Goku at first. Like, not in the sense that, like, she wants to get rid of him, but it's like, if she could do it without Goku, she would in a heartbeat. At least at the beginning of the series. She grows to love Goku. But in the beginning of the series, they are like, she doesn't care about Goku. They only bring Oolong along because his transformation powers are useful. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you have something that we want. And they literally tie him up, and she gives him a scientific laxative that anytime she makes the piggy sound, the oink oink oink, that kind of sound, it literally makes him have to go use the bathroom on command. Like, he is forced to be there. He's like their slave. Yamcha and them are literally trying to steal their Dragon Balls the entire time that they are going through this adventure. They are not in cahoots with the heroes. The only reason that they end up helping them is because they all get captured together and have to get out of there alive. That's it. This is the most ragtag group of quote unquote heroes. And the only reason that they are our heroes, our protagonists, is because they're aligned with Goku, who is the actual good guy here. You know what I mean? That is a far cry from what the Daima cast is. And you can say, okay, well, that's because we have the established Dragon Ball cast, right? And like, I would agree with that. And I actually, if you watch my review, I actually do like Pansy a lot. But what I'm saying is, like, the Demon Realm doesn't introduce us. There's really no, like, I guess you can say because of the robbers and things like that, that it's like this inherent thing of, oh, the Demon Realm is they're because they'll have no moral code of conduct down there. They're inherently meaner and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but we don't really see any evidence of that. Like, there's no real evidence of that. Like, there's goons everywhere. Like, that's just kind of a thing. There wasn't any established like character traits that were inherent to the Demon Realm residents down there that could have made us be able to recreate a ragtag group of quote unquote heroes like that. The only thing we come close to with different factions is Glorio being there, and he's aligned with Arinsu, who they aren't sure, or they don't know about her plans to try to steal their Dragon Balls from them. But that doesn't really go anywhere because Glorio doesn't even follow through on it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. There's no narrative through line there. There's nothing that we learned about Arinsu or Glorio's character through that. There's nothing there. We learned the entire reason that the Dragon Ball cast works is because we know everything about their character. We know everything. It's not, they don't have to have established past because they are their character traits. Like, the reason Bulma works is because she is selfish. She is easily manipulated by things like beauty and riches. She is these things. She is worldly. She is superficial. That's the reason that she plays off of Goku, because Goku is not like that. That's the reason why she plays off of Oolong, because Oolong is a pervert and he's just as worldly in another sense. And that's why she plays off of Yamcha, because Yamcha is afraid of girls. And he doesn't, like, he's so innocent, just like he's a twisted way of Goku's innocence, in that his innocence is like easily manipulated, but not in the way that Goku is, in that Goku is easily manipulated because most of the time the people that are trying to manipulate him into doing something, he wants to do that anyway. Yamcha's is in a way that when you see it, it's like they're convincing him to do stuff that's off the beaten path for him, especially later on in Dragon Ball as he falls in love with Bulma. You know, it's their character traits play off of one another and create a story. Their interactions are the story. The Dragon Ball hunt is just the through line to get them there. And in the manga, Pilaf isn't even a recurring villain like he is in the anime. I think that's one of the changes that actually makes the anime version better, is having Pilaf in the gang be kind of like a recurring villain that they don't even know about in the background. But he's not even a recurring villain in the manga. So the entire story from the manga's perspective literally is just these guys' adventure as they interact with each other. Their interactions are the story. If Daima was like that, it would actually be a better series. Like, it would actually be a much better story, and I would actually care about most of the characters more than I do. But it's not that. It tries to use some of those elements and some of those ideas, but it doesn't quite have the same strength of direction. And I think that's because I don't actually know, because it was a one-off story, just like the Dragon Ball hunt was supposed to be. So it's just one of those things where whatever happened within the production of it, it just didn't quite come out as cohesive of that kind of plot idea. maybe it was trying to be the same thing, but it doesn't do any of the things that made the original Hunt for the Dragon Balls arc work. And if we look at like the Red Ribbon Army saga, which is another big adventure story, it deviates even further away from that. But the reason I give it a pass with not being able to compare to those parallels is because the Red Ribbon Army arc is just a really long arc. You just don't have that much time in Daima. Like, even with 20 episodes, like, they would have had to make the plot a lot more grand to be able to match up to that. So that's why I compare it to the original Hunt for the Dragon Balls arc. That's why I compare it to that story. But when you look at the things that they are doing and what they are trying to accomplish, they are not the same kind of story, almost in the slightest. So yeah, I just think that the satirical elements of Dragon Ball are missed. I think that the comedic elements of Dragon Ball are missed. I think that the fact that each chapter is like a new episode of the week made it work. And that's not what Daima is. Daima is not like a whole bunch of villain of the week, plot of the week, adventure stories tied together that need fixing. I mean, like, GT is more of that than Daima is. And I still don't think that GT quite hits the nail on the head with how Dragon Ball worked in that sense. And it's not even a thing of like, oh, it's not as good, but it's still in the same spirit. I definitely think that Daima is in a totally different spirit than original Dragon Ball. Like, Daima feels like the start of a series. It feels like a movie plot. It feels like something like that. It feels like an arc. Dragon Ball's first arc was like... Dragon Ball's first arc could have been a completed work. And it would have been... Like, if all Dragon Ball was its first arc, it was a complete series. Like, seriously. Like, because it would end on... We did all that to collect the Dragon Balls. Nobody really got their wish at the end of the day. But if you look at it in a sense, Goku got to go on an adventure and see the outside world that his grandpa always told him about. Bulma found her boyfriend. Goku also found a master to train under who happens to be the same master that trained his grandpa. Oolong and Puar found Oolong found a new group of people that he could actually be friends with, because part of the reason that he was collecting all the girls in the village was just because he was lonely. And now he actually found people that he can actually be friends with and have almost like a pseudo family with. Everybody resolved their conflicts by the end. Whatever their character flaws were, they found resolutions to them by the time Dragon Ball's first arc ended. You know what I mean? Like, it could have ended right there and it was fine. It was, you know what I mean? Like, it was a well done story. That's not the same with Daima. Daima is very open-ended, I think on purpose. And it is very yeah, like open-ended, non-final, I guess. I had a point that I was gonna make, but I don't think it's quite the right point to make, so I'll just stick with that. It's very open-ended and very non-final, and it's a more than a story. It's a group of ideas put together that are connected by the fight at the end. Like if there was no fight at the end, if there was no resolution to the problem that arose once Goma got the third eye, because there really wasn't a problem before that besides rescuing Dende and turning the cast members back to their original forms. Once that gets accomplished, the only thing that's really, and it's like, it's once they rescued Dende, they didn't like, the reason that they were collecting the Demon World Dragon Balls was because it was the most convenient. Once they get Dende, they can just go home and go get the Namekian Dragon Balls and be perfectly fine. Like, it wasn't like they had to collect the Demon Realm Dragon Balls. That was just something they decided to do. Because it's like, okay, we're here. We might as well explore the Demon Realm. There's these Tamagami that we got to fight. Me and Vegeta like fighting. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, why not? They're... Even if Arinsu got her wish, like, Arinsu's wish didn't really conflict with anybody but Goma and Degasu. Like, it's not like her wish didn't really conflict with the heroes at all. It didn't really conflict with, like, maybe if she was gonna go fight them afterwards, but there was no real indication of that. There was, like, you know what I mean? There was no real indication of that, at least at the moment. Like, Daima's storyline is kind of, I don't want to say unresolved, because it's not unresolved. There was just nothing really to resolve. There was nothing. It was about the adventure. But I think because the adventure was weak, it made the plot and the resolution to it kind of weak. And that's just not the same with original Dragon Ball. And like I said, the parallels are just not there for me. Like, it's like that they're both adventure stories, sure, but and they collect the Dragon Balls and all of this, but the parallels between what OG Dragon Balls, Hunt for the Dragon Balls, and the themes that they were like, because I don't really want to compare it to the whole series as a whole. I really just want to do it arc by arc, because like I said, it's not grand enough to be compared to the to the Red Ribbon Army arc, but it's not trying to convey any of the, like, the themes that the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai were trying to present to Dragon Ball were, like, very inclusive to their arcs. Like, they worked for the series as a whole, but they were very conclusive to their arcs. That's not really, you can't really compare that to Daima, because Daima isn't really a series. It's really just an arc. So that's why I compare it to the first Hunt for the Dragon Balls. And I just think that the things that made that work, and the things that made you fall in love with the original Dragon Ball anime TV show and that first part of the Dragon Ball manga, is just, I don't see any of that even attempting to be done in Daima. And that's why I was so confused, because I didn't get original Dragon Ball similarities at all when I was watching it. I think it's just the thing to say because it's an adventure story, and that's what original Dragon Ball is boiled down to. And I think it's kind of reductionist. I think it's a bit reductionist, and I think it's a bit of a missing the point of the narrative with that first arc. Now you guys are making me want to go back and watch it. I think I'm going to do that when I'm done here. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go back and rewatch it, because you guys are making me interested in it again. But yeah. Last thing I'm going to say, again, said this in the beginning, shut the fuck up with all the theories, bro. Just enjoy the series and enjoy it for what it is, and who cares about where it fits in the timeline? Who cares about all this shit? That shit doesn't matter. Nobody cares except you niggas. Toei doesn't care. Nobody cares. They just care about getting cool stuff out there for the games and for the toys to be able to sell to you, and having things that make the Dragon Ball IP profitable. That's all they care about. And telling good stories from Toriyama's perspective. That's all they care about. And you niggas keep trying to make these through lines to this and to that. And it's like, bro, they're obviously trying to operate on different schedules, and if they decide to fit them together, they'll make up some bullshit that doesn't actually make sense, and then niggas are gonna write think pieces about it, and it's silly. It's silly. And like I said, I understand it from the kids. I did the same thing when I was you guys' age. Like when I was a young kid and when I was a teenager, I did the same thing. But the grown adults that are doing it, man, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Stop doing this. Stop feeding into this. We know better. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.